Yes, and it's not a cross endorsement because I haven't asked for his endorsement in return, but on the mayoral stage at the last debate on Thursday night, when asked, I was the only candidate who was willing to say who I would vote number two.
Why is that? Why are you the only candidate that's lining up behind Cuomo? Jessica did in the Queens, I believe it was, as well.
Because the rest of the candidates are more progressive lefty types, and Cuomo and I are the only two people in the moderate lane. So I'm happy to throw my support behind him and just say don't rank Zohran Mamdani, who's the far lefty, 33-year-old inexperienced Democratic socialist.
Whitney, crime, homelessness, if you ask, I think, the average New Yorker, those two topics would be at or near the top of their list of concerns.
Yes, second only to housing and affordability.
Yep. How do you deal with that issue broadly tied together?
Well, it's a tough one. There's no quick solution, but a bunch of legislation passed 5 years ago that effectively decriminalized all low-level crime. Not surprisingly, shocker, you had a huge increase. And New Yorkers got upset, and we're in the process too slowly, rolling some of that back. But it demoralized police, and we're down to a 34-year low in the number of police officers. The good news, however, is that on his fourth attempt, his fourth police commissioner in 3 years, Eric Adams, our current mayor, was sort of forced to hire a competent person, Jessica Tisch, who came in November. She's done a great job, got more police out in the streets, started enforcing quality of life stuff. The murder rate is down 28% year to date. Shootings are down 21%. Almost every type of crime is down, smaller amounts. But so I'm hopeful that we're going in the right direction for the first time in 5 years.
Housing affordability, top of the list. I've been in this city for a long time. It's always been an issue. Everybody wants to come to New York, and we know why. I don't care what's going on in the world or what's going on with the city. People keep flooding into the city. You see them every single day. How do we house these folks?
Yeah, I should say my one more just got added to that list yesterday. My youngest daughter graduated from college in Minnesota on Saturday, and she has already accepted a job back in New York. My third daughter, all three of them are now back in New York working, building their lives here. It's the greatest city in the world. But housing is key. My youngest daughter is going to be living at home because she can't afford on a teacher's salary to live in New York. So what do you have to do about it? 4 words, if I were to summarize: unleash the private sector. All the candidates have their various proposals because voters are screaming about this issue. I'm the only one who said there's not primarily a governmental solution. Trust me, the private sector wants to invest in the richest city in the world with a 60-year low vacancy rate. But we've just put up so much. This is the zoning regs, environmental regs, the city bureaucracy, where they have to hire expediters to try and navigate the city bureaucracy. We've got to clear that out and shorten what's a 4-year process on average down to a 2-year process, which is what it was under Mike Bloomberg. And the difference between 2 years and 4 years to projects start to finish in a higher interest rate environment like today is a viable project or a non-viable project.
I brought this up with Governor Cuomo, the election that Ed Koch won, where Mario Cuomo, Governor Cuomo's father, took Staten Island and I believe Brooklyn, I can't remember. Badillo took Bronx, and Bella Abzug took Manhattan, but Ed Koch won. With this Democratic primary, how does Whitney Tilson frame the first Tuesday of November? All of a sudden, it's complex.
Yes. It's particularly complex because we have the primary coming up in 8 days, and it's ranked choice, so voters can rank up to 5 candidates. The way the polling looks right now is whatever round of ranked choice, as other candidates are eliminated, it's going to come down to Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, and Zohran Mamdani, the 33-year-old sort of phenom who's run a great campaign but is very dangerously inexperienced, has radical views. I'll just point your listeners, read the New York Times editorial today. New York Times, the liberal lefty paper of record, just destroyed Zohran Mamdani in their editorial today, said he's completely unqualified, his ideas are extremist, would be the ruin of this city, is effectively what they just said. So they said, don't rank Mamdani. And then they said, whatever your feelings are about Cuomo, rank him somewhere. They had a mixed view of Cuomo. And then they said, Whitney Tilson is the heir to Mike Bloomberg, and if you're a moderate, vote for him. So that was, I was thrilled by that.
What are we going to see in November if Whitney Tilson doesn't get traction?
Well, I am only running in the Democratic primary, and realistically, with 8 days left, there's a very narrow path for me to win the primary. If I don't win the primary, I will not be there in November.
You won't be there in November.
What's interesting is both Mamdani and Cuomo, regardless of which one wins and loses, is likely to be in November. And then you have the current mayor, Eric Adams, Curtis Sliwa on the Republican side in all likelihood, and it's not ranked choice. So you could have a scenario where someone gets 40% and becomes mayor with only a minority of the vote because 3 or 4 other candidates could split the remaining 60.
We've seen some very troubling images for many people coming out of Los Angeles as the deportation plan of President Trump ramps up. What's your view on how New York should deal with it? How would you deal with that?
This is great, Paul. Thank you for bringing this up. Whitney Tilson, one of our staff, had a close friend's husband picked up this weekend in New York City.
Yeah, I strongly support New York's status as a sanctuary city. I do not think we should be cooperating in any way with the Trump administration's lawless, I would argue, campaign of terror against our immigrant communities. We, though, as Democrats, need to be smart and not lose the narrative and not appear to be, or in reality, be protecting the very small number of people who are here illegally, who have joined gangs and are making our city less safe. So there needs to be limited cooperation there. But, I was asked on the debate stage, what would you do, if the Los Angeles, protests came here? And I'd be like, I'd get out in front. I'd be out there protesting as well, what the Trump administration is doing. But critically, in a peaceful way. And the flags we should be waving shouldn't be Mexican or Palestinian flags. We should be waving American flags. We are patriots fighting for our country, for our democracy, against an authoritarian power grab, which is what I think is going on here.
What's the biggest issue from your perspective that you want to get across here when you go out and meet New Yorkers on the street?
Well, I was one of the founders of Teach for America 36 years ago, my first job out of college, a few blocks from here. I've been on the board of KIPP Charter School, so I've been trying to elevate the issue of education reform, improving our public schools, where we spend more and get less than any city or state in the country. It just hasn't been a big issue, honestly, and it always comes back to housing / affordability and crime and safety. And so, but I do my best to elevate an issue that I care about a lot, and it's by far the single biggest part of our city budget. $40 billion of our $115 billion budget goes into the DOE, and it's not well spent.
Whitney Tilson, I want to ask a delicate question here, in that there's such a distrust of Governor Cuomo. There are those that support him. We all know the debate here in New York, and I think, frankly, nationwide, people know the debate. If we have Mayor Cuomo, how does he move on from the baggage that was earned in Albany? Are you optimistic that he can, if he's mayor, that he can move on from the train wreck that was his term in Albany?
Yes, and I would not characterize his years in Albany as a train wreck.
That was a little harsh.
He got a lot of stuff done.
I didn't mean politically. I'm talking about social. The stuff on the cover of the New York Post.
I know how it. I know how it ended, but I have had some interactions with him over the years. Back when he was governor, he was a strong supporter of charter schools, and at the end of the day, he's experienced, competent, and can get things done. And to those who he's referred to as a vindictive followed by an expletive by many people. And my argument back to them is there's a lot to be said for someone with a fearsome reputation trying to get things done here in a very fractious city where you've got to deal not only with the city council, but with Albany, and now with the federal government is going to be a real challenge as well. I think we need someone like Cuomo, and I'm optimistic he'd be up to the job.
I guess as it relates to the federal government, can he work with the Trump administration? Because perhaps that's maybe one of the things the city needs, someone to work with the Trump administration on behalf of New York's interests. Is that something you think he could do? I
think Trump is a bully, and he respects other bullies and people who will stand up to him. And I think Governor Cuomo fits that bill. They've known each other for a long period of time. And I think Cuomo, I would hope, would be smart in standing up to Trump, but not needlessly provoking him. And when the alternative for us is a 33-year-old socialist, that I think he would just get destroyed by city politics, would get destroyed in Albany, would be destroyed by Trump. And so, that's an easy decision between those two.